Hello, everyone. I am from the National Science Foundation. I really am from the government. I really am here to help. I'm hoping that this is more of an inspirational talk, not a data-intensive talk. What I want to have happen, there we go, I know Kurt found it, I can find it. So what I want to talk about is, initially, I want to talk about this roundtable. In case you didn't hear about it already and don't have it on your calendar, it's at the National Academy of Sciences. It is one of the series done by the Roundtable on post-secondary education. This one specifically focuses on something near and dear to my heart, the two-year colleges. I encourage it will be available online. You can sign up for it as a webinar, so please consider that. The National Science Foundation focuses its efforts strategically around 10 big ideas. Those 10 big ideas I'm going to talk about because they all have data science in them, and they all have a screaming need for what everyone here who's associated with training and education are developing, those very smart data scientists. One of the overarching concerns or themes is convergence. Now, what you want to say is, well, it's just interdisciplinarity, or it's multidisciplinary. Convergence is learning essentially what those people on the lower circle in Kirk's diagram do, how to think about other people's science in a creative way. We mean really big, important problems, really big questions for science, really big questions for society. We mean a really deep integration across lots of disciplines. Now, this is made for data science and data analytics, but it puts a certain edge on actually being able to deal with the kinds of data that are coming at you because they're going to be so incredibly different, representing those multiple domains. So another big question that the National Science Foundation has is how to harness the data that we have. So we used to have the big data program. I was associated with that. We now have the Harnessing the Data Revolution. Lots of similarities, but what we're really looking forward to doing is, you'll see on this that it has what every program that the National Science Foundation puts up that has any legs at all, is it has a question of making a data-capable workforce. Every program has that at its heart. Workforce is one of our themes. Please, please, if you take nothing else home, remember that when you go to the National Science Foundation, you have to think about education, you'd have to think about how data are involved. So it has lots of the standard things you think of as science. It has earth systems, it has materials, it has biology, it has multi-messenger astrophysics, it has the human technology frontier, it has ecosystem forecasting. Harnessing the Data Revolution is actually going to make it all happen, but the only way it's actually going to happen is if we actually have the people who can do it. So we've done lots of things about this. We've developed foundations of computer science, of data science rather. We have education and workforce development. We have this call out for Data Science Core that I'm hoping we will make a more than a single year's program. And we have Harnessing the Data Revolution Institutes. All of those are happening, all of the top ones are happening right now, but there's a real opportunity for people to start thinking now about what's going to come out in 2021, I hope, which is a solicitation that calls for thinking about the development of institutes that work across harnessing the data revolution. I would love to see something in there that included education and workforce development in data science as something that was a part of the institute that acted as a cohesive whole for the entirety of the NSF effort in this. Those things take time to make. Now's the time to start thinking about them. So this is the data science core. It was what's a hallmark of this is that the kinds of projects are essentially the social good kind of projects. The kinds of projects that are like catnip to students, or to cat students anyway. And it is an effort to encourage participation from people who aren't necessarily your traditional data science students, because they can see the good, perhaps in their own community or perhaps from their own life. So that's why I want this program to go on. But another one of the big questions is the future of work at the human technology frontier. Another great opportunity for data science, another great opportunity to think about how do you do it responsibly? How do you make it so that the products that we make, that the algorithms that we develop, that the systems that we build do not displace people, but rather we make a world in which we interact effectively, harnessing the best of both the systems and the people, and the education and the workforce. One of the elements of the future of work is fostering lifelong learning. And one of the things I really want you to take home is how lifelong learning is critical for doing effective data science. How, if you're not learning, you're standing still, right? It's the Red Queen hypothesis all over again. You have to run twice as fast to stay in the same place. We know we're siloed. We've talked about it for years and years and years. One of my friends said, you know, I really dislike being called an application domain. I said, I'm really sorry about that. I didn't call you that. I called the area that. But the reality is that in order to do effective science for the next century, you actually have to lose these silos. These silos, you can't replace them with newer, bigger silos, people. They actually have to be new silos. You have to be able to collaborate. Those soft skills that Courtney talked about, those are absolutely critical. It's not just your brains, it's your empathy that are actually going to make the difference, because it makes you capable of taking multiple perspectives. And there's this little fact that most of the science these days is done by teams, but we already know that. So this is the classic levels of team science sort of thing. This is the banana, the aprium, you know, merged, the basically fruit salad of all of the wonderful stone fruits. We really need to get at the level where people work well together, and in order to do that, it means that everybody's going to have to work harder at learning the other's language. Now, one of the things I want to congratulate you all about is that data science has grown so significantly, not just in this country, but certainly worldwide, that the numbers of students are doubling, and it's anticipated that it will continue to rise, which means that what we call training in data science is actually beginning to catch up. We're beginning to get hands at the wheel, on the keyboard, as voice. But that means what you're going to actually have to do is to think more broadly about how people are thinking as data scientists, not just what it is they're doing, right? So at the very beginning, we all have beginner's mind. Everything we do is wrong. Just face it. We just don't know enough to actually think. Then you become competent about something, or you know, well, this is the I know what I don't know. This is why you go to school, right? Then you learn something and you think you know it. But you have to internalize it. It really does have to be part of you in order for you to live it and breathe it. And that's what Kirk was talking about in a way. People who think about data science as part of their birthright, for whom it is a key component of literacy. The only way you do that is to educate people, not just train them. You have to be able to teach people to think. So I want you all to, in this room, I know everybody's thinking of this year's problems and next year's problems and the next decade's problems. I want you to think next generation. I want you to think about how people like you are going to make the people who are going to teach the people to think, to do the kinds of research that are necessary to solve the problems that we have. That's the challenge that you have. The only way that's going to happen, I think, is by convergence. So when I get into one of these modes, people say, Sylvia, just be real. You know, pigs don't fly. Well, not yet, but you guys can make it happen. So that's what I'm hoping happens. This is my contact information. The NSF has lots of programs to help fund data science and interesting research. I encourage you to contact me or any of my colleagues. And I want to thank you for your attention.